Hey internets, it's Rev, and tonight, Indie Gamer Chick finally doesn't hate us. We ask Ouya why it's fucking developers. It's been hot enough that I'm hoping Icy will cool me down, and grabbing a Knobbly Crook is gonna get your point-and-click addiction beaten into submission. Grab your helmets and batons, folks. It's episode 59 of the Indie Game Riot.
Indie Game Riot!
Everybody, it is Josh, and this is episode 59. Holy crap. Every time, even though it's only one number higher, it still blows my mind every single time that we make it far. Episode 59 of the Indie Game Riot Podcast. And just a real quick reminder, we do have a phone number. Oh, that reminds me.
Oh?
Okay, hold on. Go ahead and do the number. I gotta find something.
Do the number.
Do the number. So, our number is 717-508-7468. That is 717-508 Riot. You can call and leave us a message. Josh will hear it. The stream will hear it. But those of us that aren't Josh or in the stream won't hear it because, that's just the way it works.
Rev and Tim, I'm going to ask you because we got a call.
We did get a call?
We got a call.
Oh.
And,
got a phone call.
And I got to ask you guys to actually listen to this. So, mute. I'm not going to say anything, but turn on the stream and tell me when you catch up to my voice. And tell me when the call is over on the stream, and then I'll start talking. You ready? Good to go?
Yeah.
All right.
I am.
Here we go.
Hi, Pat. This is Mary. I thought it was about time I called you. I meant to call last night, and the night got away from me. So I thought I better try again tonight. Or try tonight. I hope I have reached you. I have no way of knowing if the number I...
Oh, that's awesome! We got a wrong number message.
Is that just some random lady calling?
Yeah.
The magic of technology.
Well, Pat and Mary, I hope you guys managed to get in contact with each other because we're not passing that message on.
Oh man, that made my day when I found that. I was like, even if it's not for the show, I was like, that's so fantastic.
It was.
Hi, Pat. It's Mary.
Cats are.
Pat's probably dead. Okay.
IGR is not, nor is it ever going to be associated with Pat.
So if you want to live in infamy like Mary and Pat, call 717-508-RIOT. That's 717-508-7468 because old people don't know numbers. Anyway, this is about a good time to tell everyone briefly how your week has been. Go, take it away, Tim, since you're the guest.
Well, it's been, you guys know Boss 101, still cruise along. Some stuff that happened, though, I think I mentioned it just at the beginning, when we were talking about Matt stuff, is that we turned in the official Steam store. So what we have is the greenlight. We got greenlit.
Right.
But what we did is submit all the stuff for the Steam store. This means you got to have like a bank account and all this stuff, but it was officially submitted with all the art and the layout and stuff to Valve. They review it, and then they post it live. What that means is when it goes live, you'll actually be able to search the Steam store and actually find Boss 101. Right now, if you just search in the store, you have to go to Greenlight to find it. But,
right.
So when that's done, though, you'll be able to put Boss 101 on a wish list and you'll start seeing announcements and stuff through Steam, and it'll have a community thing. I think you get a community site, like a page to post announcements officially. The notifications actually come up through Steam too, which is really nice. But yeah, there's that, and then the rest of it is just I've been doing a lot of dialogue writing for the game. We have there's a lot of talking, a lot of story stuff that's happening. So I'm putting in a lot of the command center dialogue where we have there's like these scientist gophers that are helping you build things. So they're actually helping you assemble the command center. So there's all these dialogues between them and you, and that's all getting written right now. But it's super fun. It's been great. So, and watching Rick and Morty, and just finished watching Steven Universe the first season. So that was good.
I've never heard of that one.
It's good. Steven Universe is good. But yeah, it's a great week.
I get the feeling that Rev is going to buy like 20 copies of Boss 101 when it comes out.
Oh,
probably. I have a bit of an addictive personality, so I tend to buy multiple copies and gifts for people, and
that would be fantastic. It's really, we have designed it for addictive personality people because there's a lot of like completionist stuff in it where you collect a lot of, and you get rewards. Let's say you collect all the boss parts available, you get like special rewards that are only available to that person. Listen to a certain amount of dialogues, you get all these rewards. So it's there. It's like if you're into that kind of stuff, you definitely have those kind of things in there. You can just play the game too and finish it and have a fun time. But if you want to really dive in and play over and over, you can definitely do that.
And I talked to Tim the other night, and he said I could put this on the record. Boss, well, you said 102, and then we had a discussion last week. It was like it would make more sense if it was 201.
Yeah, there will be, the first thing we're doing as soon as this is over, is we're going to start working on the next one. And, we talked about some of the ideas. But yeah, there's going to be, we call it, between ourselves, Boss 102, but it'll probably be something like Boss 101, blankety blank, school's out, or Boss 101. Because it'll be, Boss 101 is sort of the Harry Potter part of the name, or the Indiana Jones part of the name.
Right.
It gets like some kind of a colon or a slash, and then the rest of it. But for all intent and purposes, there will be a sequel. And there's some ideas. Initial ideas are things like, obviously, we talked about multiplayer. We've talked about, co-op multiplayer. And things like, our joke is we always have these conversations of like, as soon as something we talk about ridiculous things, like, wouldn't it be cool if the buildings could explode and you could fly down the street and blow out windows and stuff? And Joshua is so funny. He's the programmer. He's like, yeah, we're going to be able to do all that stuff. He goes, we're going to have destructible buildings and everything. And I'm like, are you kidding? He's like, I'm all fluid dynamics. He's like, oh yeah, you can have like waves crashing around and have bubbles with light, like searching caverns.
You could have like from what is that called? Oh my God, why can't it Rampage?
Oh yeah,
you can have a cameo from Rampage.
Totally.
Yeah, have the little naked guy. Have the little naked guy.
Guys, you could have like Limbo will have flashlights, like Alan Wake. You can search a cavern. Oh
God,
like,
I love that game.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Well,
yeah,
I'm excited for that.
That stuff is like Boss 102. That's always the thing. We always laugh and say Boss 102 and put it on that list. But some of it will get in. I don't know, everything will, but we certainly we have so many things we want to do for the next one. Just raise that bar. It's like it'll be crazy.
Rev, top that.
I've worked. That's
Boo.
it. Like, I played some AAA trash over the course of this week. I've been doing nothing but patching and updating of servers. I've got 60 hours logged as of 5 p.m. today, and I've got another 12 to 15 hours to go this weekend. So while doing that from home, since it all has to be done after hours, I was watching, I finished the BBC Office, and I was playing Splinter Cell. But other than that, I've done nothing.
Splinter Cell's a good game.
It is.
Good AAA trash choice.
Yeah, it's time for my replay of the entire series. So, how about you, Josh? What have you been up to?
It's been a rough week. But mostly it's just been catching up on IRX and Indie Game Riot stuff. If any of you haven't noticed, we're way behind. I'm sorry, but I'm working on it. I promise. And we're getting it going. We're getting it going. No worries. That's really all been. Tomorrow I'm going to a picnic, so if anyone cares, you're all welcome to come. And getting set up for my son's first birthday. So there's that.
God, it's been a year already?
Yeah, since he's popped out of the
Jesus.
Of the insides of my wife. So that's happening.
You're like an official dad.
Twice.
Wow.
Yeah. I got a 3-year-old too.
Oh,
I know. I'm like
so old.
I know. I know. Don't you speak respectfully to your elders.
Hey, I'm only a mere 20 years older than you, but you seem old now.
Well, you know what'll give you that youthful step again?
Yeah.
A colonic?
Probably. But I was thinking more like an Indie News injection.
Yes.
Are you bored with the same old games?
Yeah.
Why, then give yourself an Indie News injection.
Thanks, Indie Games.
Hey everybody, this is Indie News Injection. I don't know why I just said that like I was starting the show, but whatever. We'll do it like that. Indie News Injection. First up, if you all remember, we've been doing this charity thing with Indie Gamer Chick, who's a pretty popular indie game blogger. And basically how it works is that we give her a suggestion to review on her blog. She then purchases that game. We match the price of the game in donation to the Epilepsy Foundation, which is her charity of choice because she does suffer from epilepsy, and all that sort of stuff. So the most recent game, and actually, unfortunately, the last game, because of said epilepsy, she's, I guess, had some bouts recently and gone through some surgery, so she's taken a break from that, which is obviously understandable. But the most recent review that she did was not a hero. If you remember, we covered that some weeks back. And if you've kept up with the history of all the games that we've provided to her,
she hates us.
She hates every single game. However, in our defense, weekly they have. I think they have improved. Even though she's hated every single one, they have been less hated each week. And finally, it has culminated into something that has gotten her what she calls the Indie Gamer Chick seal of approval, where she has a list of all the games that have kind of gotten it, like, you should go play this game. She's obviously got some critiques about it, and she's kind of irritated with certain things from the game, but she said it was still a really fun game. And here's for those of you in the chat, I'll give you the link to the article if you want to read. But yeah, so finally, Indie Gamer Chick likes one of our games. Not a hero. Congratulations, Roll 7. And Devolver Digital for helping us. We'll take that as a win.
Definitely. And I'm trying to pull up the leaderboard to find out where it is. I don't
70.
think we're in the top 10. We're 70?
Yeah, 70 out of like 250 something.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's why I was like, we'll take it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got one of those games that we've been anxiously awaiting. Finally has like a solid "this is when it's coming out" release date. You've heard us gush about Dropsy the Clown and our good friend Jay. It comes out September 10th. It's available 1 month, 1 week, 5 days, and 12 hours from now, as of this recording.
So excited.
I cannot fucking wait.
Oh, so excited.
Oh, so much fun is going to go into this. It's going to be ridiculous. I have to remember to pre-order that next week. What do we got out?
Amazing, by the way.
It is. Also, speaking of award, I mean, Tim here won the IRX Most Revolutionary Game. Dropsy won Best Art and was actually considered for Most Revolutionary Game, and as well as like several other categories.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So
fantastic.
Yeah, Dropsy. I love point and clicks. So excited for that. Next up. Yeah. Here we go. Red Ash Kickstarter. So this is also actually an interesting discussion point. They this I guess has happened before, but for some reason this one's just particularly gained a lot of publicity. Red Ash is a Kickstarter that it's still in Kickstarter, but has not been fully funded. However, like midway through the Kickstarter, they picked up a publisher who is funding their development. And I guess this has happened before, and I guess it upsets for various reasons, the people who have donated to the Kickstarter, and therefore they withdraw their donation. I guess
Which
they lost.
I didn't even know was a possibility with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I like that it is. But...
Yeah, they withdrew, like, they lost thousands after they announced that they had their game funded through a publisher. Personally, I mean, because basically what they were doing, they're still keeping up the Kickstarter because they wanted to see if they could fund their stretch goals instead.
Yeah.
Because the publishers are only, funding the main part of the game that they wanted done. I mean, I kind of, in a way, I guess, kind of get why people would be upset. I don't really agree. Because, I mean, you're still getting what you are kickstarting for.
Here's the thing that pushes this into a newsworthy thing for me. It's the fact that it's Inafune's second. He kickstarted Mighty Number 9.
Yes.
Still not released. This was supposed to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man because, he created it. Mm-hmm. But still not released, and there's been a lot of public disappointment in what has been shown of Mighty Number 9 since the Kickstarter was successfully funded. Mm-hmm. Then, while still in development for that, he starts Red Ash. And a lot of people were kind of like, let's get your first one done before we start on the second one.
Yeah, why would he even, does he have a team working on it? Or?
Well, yeah, he definitely has a team.
Double Fine does that.
True. But
granted, they have 100 people working for them, but
they also have a disparate amount of games. Not all of their games are the exact same.
Right.
Whereas Red Ash is another spiritual successor to Mega Man and Mighty Number 9, and
so it just seems kind of shady.
It does. It seems a little bit shady, and between the change, because it was when people donate to Kickstarter, when I put in for Kickstarter, my thing is always, I'm expecting that I'm helping out with the creation of this project. When they announced that they got Fuse Entertainment to back them completely, to fund them, they're now the announcement was changed that backers of the Kickstarter are no longer going to be funding the development of the game, but to expand its scope beyond what Fuse is going to handle for them.
Okay. And that's why I say I can kind of get it, but in the end, you're still getting the same thing.
Yeah.
Plus additional things. You know what I mean? I don't see where the loss is, and I mean minus the shadiness of not finishing the first one, minus that, I don't see how anyone's losing out in this.
I don't think that anybody's truly losing out. I'm going to reserve judgment, obviously, but it's one of those things where I can see why people would have issues with it. And I'm not going to fault them for it. I personally didn't back Mighty Number 9 or Red Ash.
See, I'm not even a fan of Mega Man. So.
See, and I love Mega Man, but I want to see what happens.
I'm just waiting to be crucified on the internet.
Doesn't it seem a little... I don't know, when like you say, the guy gets on, he's already done a Kickstarter, he hasn't delivered on it. Now, again, there's no problem with starting 100 Kickstarters, but everybody knows there's only, X amount of people that are going to be working on anything. And it seemed like when the second, did you guys see the Red Ash actual pitch, the Kickstarter page? Because it seemed skimpy relative to... Yeah. It was just a storyboard. It's come on, man. This is
what we're looking for.
I think one thing Kickstarter has done for a lot of people is this is, you're seeing game development. That's exactly how game development can be, and not every time, but somebody could pitch a lunchroom idea and it may get funded just because the person is a high talent. Maybe John Carmack walks into a room and says, I got an idea, and everybody's throwing money in his direction at any publisher. But then, some average schmo comes in and says, oh, I'm going to make the next Doom, and everybody's like, what? Show me some gameplay. And I feel like in this case, though he is, obviously, his history is in that genre and kind of
exactly
pioneering it, it was kind of sketchy to come loose with this thing that was like, it did seem a little early to be showing something that and asking for full funding for something that looked like he barely had thought about it. It's like he's just had some guy do a storyboard in Flash and just go, okay, here's
my napkin thought for today. And
here's my napkin thought for today. Let's just get a studio rolling with Kickstarter money. It's like, that isn't...
I mean, do you think that a publisher would actually have jumped on it if he really was just trying to do a cash grab?
No, well, that's why he went to Kickstarter. I don't think if he took that same pitch to a publisher, I don't think any publisher would have grabbed it. And that's an opinion I have. That's not a fact. That's just an opinion. But that's based off of, I used to see pitches from studios at when I worked at Sony, and I was that guy. I was the guy on the other side of the table, and I remember, a guy would come in with some loose stuff, and it really depended on his pedigree and what he was working on. We always did the research of due diligence of what else is that studio working on currently.
I kind of get that because we've kind of done the same thing with early access and Kickstarters from that we've covered on the show, and we're like, well, this guy has a long list of great games, so there's probably not as much risk with this early access not being fully released as opposed to the Stomping Land or something like that. But
I'm still sad.
You guys look at the history too, right? You go to, let's say he's got a couple early access. You go see, is this early access have a series of updates that are frequent and recent? If you go to his Mighty Nine or whatever, I haven't followed it at all. I didn't back it, but is he doing regular updates? Has he released maybe a demo that he said he was? Is there lots of blog screenshots like we're doing this, we're doing that? My concern is that I would guess he maybe hasn't done as much of that with Mighty Nine, and that's probably
most of the public aspect of it is the look of everything is changed dramatically. Like you watch the pitch video on the original Kickstarter and you're like, I legitimately had people messaging me going, hey, do you know anything about this Inafune guy and why he's doing a Mega Man clone and why aren't you upset about it? And it was like, well, he kind of invented Mega Man, so him doing a clone of it is okay in my book. But it looked
got a slight history of that.
Yeah. But it was what has been released since it was funded has been, I wouldn't necessarily say lower quality, but I could see how some people would.
Right.
Well, moving on.
Independent Games Festival. There we go. 2016 IGF. It is in the 18th year. Can you believe that? God.
Hasn't been that long.
Yeah, it's been going, it runs alongside GDC in San Francisco in March, and they are now officially open for submissions. So there's been a couple of other changes going on. They have the IGF chairperson is swapping out. Indie Mega Booth founder Kelly Wallach is stepping in as the new chairperson for IGF. They're also going to be including, there's a reduction in price for competition entries.
Oh, awesome.
They're going to do a better integration of the student competition.
I was just about to bitch, too, because I was like, IGF and Indicate, they're starting to become a little too, pick and choose like these people that we know and, too exclusive and too corporate. But now that you're saying that, it seems like they're making some good changes. I always appreciate the fact that they're making it more accessible for people. You could be making an amazing game, but, as Tim and actually we know too, even though we don't make games, is that you don't make a lot of money when you're making games. You make a lot of money when you're selling games. So, people don't always have the cash to send into IGF. But so I appreciate that they're making it a little bit easier to get in.
So they're doing that. Deadline is October 26th. And finalists will be announced in early January. $50,000 worth of prizes. So
that's a lot.
Yeah,
grand prize is a big chunk of change.
Yeah, it's like 30,000. There's 6 finalists for a $30,000 grand prize.
Right. So get your game in if you're because I know there's a few devs in the chat stream right now and people listening to the edited version. Get your game in. You could win a lot of money.
Good, and that would put you in a really prestigious list. Some of the previous winners Some of the previous winners: World of Goo, Castle Crashers, Papers, Please, Limbo, Minecraft, Spelunky.
Fez.
So
Whatever happened to Minecraft anyway? It kind of faded from the picture, didn't it? Did it ever?
it got bought by Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Microsoft bought it, but actually I did see something that they're coming out soon with 1.9. So, I mean, they're still updating it, but not like they were. Because, Microsoft... you'd think, though, talking about frequent updates, they update your freaking operating system all the goddamn time.
Oh, yeah.
They don't... But anyway, that's whatever. Anyway.
Speaking of other cons that are currently... or festivals...
Yes. MAGFest 14... Yeah, 14. It confuses me because when I say 14, I think the year.
Yeah.
But it's MAGFest 14 because it's the 14th MAGFest. Music and Gaming Festival. We went to this, actually, Indie Game Riot's very first con. We went to this last year down in Baltimore, Maryland. Or actually, it's Inner Harbor, I'm sorry. Inner Harbor, Maryland at the Gaylord Hotel. And this is a convention that's, it's basically just a giant party. And it's a ton of fun. I mean, obviously it's a convention, so it's not just people just drinking and running around naked. But,
or is it?
But it is a part of it. They have tons of concerts. They have panels. They have a huge arcade, a whole bunch of vendors. They have a big indie game section where we're going to be spending most of our time this year. And it's a beautiful hotel, so I would suggest going and checking it out. And magfest.org, you can go check it out. Of course, the link will be in the description. And all the applications to sign up for panels, sign your indie game up. Tim, go to MAGFest.
Yes. Hey, man, I've gotten emails from them and the other one that we just IGF.
IGF. Yeah, so go check it out. Sign up. As far as Indie Game Riot goes, we're most likely going to be there again, and this time getting a hotel room. And maybe we'll have a little bit of an IGR get-together for people who are there. Because, I mean, last time we haven't even been around. How long were we around for? Not even a half a year, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
Well, because I remember me hitting Indiecade in October.
No, it was a little over half a year.
Yeah, because we started in like May or something.
Yeah, May.
And then
May
October,
or something.
And then October was Indiecade, and then MAGFest, and wow, we've done a lot in a year. A year, fuck.
Well, it's been a year and a half almost. No, it's been a year and a quarter. But anyway, my time is off. Anyway, MAGFest. We're going to be there.
Open at midnight tonight.
Yeah, midnight tonight at the time of this recording. So in less than an hour, right now.
What are you talking about? It's only 8 p.m.
Shut up. Eastern Standard Time, the only time zone that matters.
I've still got daylight. You don't count.
So looking out your window, I can't believe it. Like
it's getting dark-ish.
In this California.
Yeah.
Last bit of news.
Last bit of news in our discussion point. Ouya.
Yes.
Fucking people out of $1 million.
This upsets me because Ouya was such a great idea, and a lot of people threw their support behind it. I mean, as far as indie games are concerned, I mean, I know we have friends like Phil Royer who has Super Pixelo. I think he released on Ouya first.
Yep.
People like him are going to get screwed out of some money. Well, no, it's not. No, this is about the Kickstarter thing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, this one specifically. So, little bit of backstory. July of, I want to say, 2013, Ouya announced that they were going to start the Free the Games program. And basically what that was is they would match funding for Kickstarter games that were built specifically for the Ouya, or I don't remember the exact, but I'm pretty sure it was would be an Ouya exclusive for the first 6 months. And there were 21,000 registered Ouya developers that got on board with this. So they set aside a big chunk of cash. There was a contract involved. Everybody was happy with it, and they would pay it out in chunks. So you'd get like 50%
When you get your beta out or something?
beginning. Yeah. Well, no, it was 50% right at the beginning, and then you would get 25% at like release, and then the remaining 25% would come out at the end of that 6-month period, right, where it was the exclusive, if I'm remembering correctly. It was some breakdown like that. So anywhere from $250,000 to $50,000, depending on your Kickstarter, they would match the funds for that. And they had some problems with it, as any system's going to, but they worked that out. It worked out really, really well.
People were basically playing the system that they had set up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was there were some issues with it, but they worked that out. They adjusted the rules of their program, and the relaunch was absolutely phenomenal. They had some really good titles in development for it. So a lot of those people got that first 50% and then started developing. And then Ouya just recently decided that they're going to sell to Razer. And they got bought sight unseen, like hand over cash. There's a section of the contract, and that's the part that really, this is the part that irritates the ever-loving hell out of me. Termination upon bankruptcy or insolvency. You can terminate this contract if either party becomes insolvent or unable to pay its debts when due. You file a petition of bankruptcy, reorganization, or similar proceeding, or if filed against, such petition is not removed within 60 days of such filing.
But the thing is, and I mean, because Razer bought it, that's what they're
claiming.
But they're still under the name of Ouya. They're still under the company name.
Did Razer come out and say that they'll pay the devs? I'm pretty sure that they.
I haven't heard anything on that as of today when I was looking at like 3:00 this afternoon. Because if there was, I was willing to be like, haha.
He linked something. I can't check it. So.
Yep, I'm loading
this
it right.
Just in.
This just in.
No, I read that thing too, and I thought it was ridiculous. But I think that they're gonna. I mean, it is still the fact that they didn't address it instantly, knowing that they bought the thing, was crazy. I mean, it is. It's absolutely.
Because the problem came down is that developers all of a sudden, because they're pulling out of that, all of a sudden had they didn't have any funding anymore. So they're like, well, how am I going to finish what I was planning on finishing with this money that we were going to give me? Right. You know, people were out like $5,000. You know, where are you going to pull $5,000 from?
Well, it was the total was about $600,000.
Well, I mean, like a specific developer was out
for specific developers.
Yeah, the thing I sent you was from the article. Basically says that they will pay the.
Oh, okay.
$600,000. So, now, mind you, again, that was never addressed, and I think to your point, which is very valid. When the whole thing went down, it did take a little bit for Razer to come forward. I think that was, and you kind of got to wonder, did Razer come forward because they were planning to all along, or were they just sort of like, oh shit, we were going to just can all these and that I think
you mean like they're trying to save face through PR?
Correct. Yeah. I kind of think, you know, the way it played out, I do feel there was a sense that Razer either didn't know about it, which would be ridiculous, or that they were just sort of thinking, like what you guys are saying, hey, there's this clause that says during bankruptcy, any sort of previous contracts are null and void, which means all those devs are screwed. But the backlash was so tremendous, and especially because everybody was like, well, why'd you guys even buy that?
Razer makes junk shit anyway, so.
I used to buy Razer stuff a long time.
It's all name recognition. It's not even.
Was it ever good? I paid like $100 for a mouse one time.
I mean, it's above average, but I feel like you're.
It wasn't $100 mouse.
You're paying for brand. I mean, it's just like Beats. It's like Beats headphones.
That's what I did feel. You know what I mean? I felt like I was buying an iPhone.
or Alienware, all that's a stock Dell device.
Well, that used to be good until it got bought by Dell.
It's always been.
No, it was independent before.
It was independent, and they took stock Dell devices, overclocked them. And
really?
Trust me on this. I was working.
Trust me on this.
So It looks like thank you to Tim for providing the update on that. I was not aware of this, but it looks like the CEO of Razer, Tan, what was his name? Min Lang Tan, has said that they weren't aware of the Free the Games debt, and so
okay. Yeah,
well,
says the hundreds of lawyers that they have that read through every little contract with them.
There's like 10,000 lawyers looking over this deal. None of them noticed that little clause.
Well, yeah, $1 million worth of
You'd
money.
think, yeah, it's like $1 million. You'd think that someone at Ouya is like, oh, by the way, we got like $1 million we owe people, so you might want to.
But reading through it, it does look like this is more PR than anything. But
really
they're modifying the agreement slightly. They're going to pay out what they owe regardless, despite the fact that they're not legally obligated to. That would be a.
I don't like that wording. I hate when people say that stuff. Like it's
Legally obligated.
Yeah, it's like even though it's the right thing to do, I'm only doing it begrudgingly.
Yeah. So, even though they're not legally obligated, they are going to do it, or at least, to quote directly, we are going to try and make good on this fund and give these developers the option, or an option. The option is to sign a new contract that reflects the specifics of the deal with Ouya. Some of the differences in that contract: games released under the fund will no longer have to be exclusive to the Ouya platform, and the money given to the developers will be used once the game is published to give away copies of the game on the Razer's Cortex storefront. That doesn't make sense to me. So basically, if Razer gives you $1,000 and you're selling your game for $10, you now have to give away 100 copies of your game on their storefront.
Who actually buys things from Razer's storefront?
I didn't know they had a storefront.
Exactly.
Storefront.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I mean, go ahead and give away your copies. No one's going to. It's like you're not losing any money. Who knew? Anyway, so go fuck yourself, Razer.
Well, thank you for making good on.
No, go fuck yourself.
No, I'm gonna.
No, there's no.
There are several devs out there that are going to say, yeah, fuck you as well. But thank you for making good on that, at least. That changes my vitriol just a bit. But try
It
try
seems
not.
a little after the fact. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Make better products. Speaking of better products, starting Riot.
You get better products.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week on Starting the Riot, we have a game called ICY. ICY, let me get some gameplay footage going here.
ICY hot?
ICY Juicy? That's
Yeah.
something for my...
Wait, what?
That's something for... no one is going to get that joke because that's something just for me.
A super inside joke from Josh.
Yeah, it's literally only me that gets that. Anyway, ICY is a really cool kind of RPG-ish survival game. It's really open-ended, and it's choice-oriented. I love these games because they're oftentimes narrative-based, and as you know, I love narrative games. ICY is also really interesting artistically. As you can see there, it's not like a fully pretty animated, but it's a lot of still pictures because you're making choices at a certain time. In this case, they're actually in a battle right now. Right now they're in a battle, and it's very text-based. However, there's a little bit of strategy involved too as you travel around the map, and that's when the actual animations come in. You kind of travel. It's almost like on a hex-based system. Hopefully, it'll show it soon in this gameplay footage. But
So it's a post-apocalyptic survival RPG. I don't know how I feel about that.
Why?
Because it's such a brand new idea.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's I don't know. On the one hand, it is. As Tim said, it's such a brand new idea. Sarcasm tag. But the implementation for it, I think it's. I'm loving the art behind it. I'm loving the choice and the narration behind it. I think mechanically they could have gone better.
Well,
like
maybe it's. Are you sure it's not just like a stylistic kind of thing, or because I mean, are you saying that they didn't put enough effort into?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying they didn't put enough effort into it, because this is all hand-done, custom artistry that they've done. But mechanically, it feels like, to me, it feels like they were going for an original Fallout and missed.
I can kind of see that. I don't know if they were trying to go for that, in which maybe the reason that you feel like they missed because they weren't trying to actually do it. But yeah, I can kind of see the Fallout feel to it. Or maybe they did. I really don't know, actually. But the reason for the apocalypse is because there's a new ice age, and basically you and the lives of the people in your group kind of... anyone could die at any moment based on whatever decisions that you make, which is, I think, really cool because that kind of forces you to become attached to the characters, and it kind of gets you emotionally invested. And I feel like those kinds of games that get you emotionally invested into the story and the characters are much more, what's the word? Immersive, is what I'm trying to say, in my opinion, anyway. So they obviously really focused on the story of this game. They mentioned that several times on their website, and also the choice orientation and all that sort of stuff. There's the whole like open world RPG kind of thing, where you actually have to go scavenge for items and hunt and all that sort of stuff before you starve or whatever happens to you, or just die from being
exposure.
Exposed. Yeah. They say there's more than 400 pieces of hand-drawn artwork, which is always impressive. I love hand-drawn artwork in games.
Looks great.
Yeah. And there is some customization for the character that you actually play as in the game. So if you're into that, that's your thing. It is currently, let's see, it is published by Digital Tribe. That's why the link that I sent in the chat there is Digital Tribe. But the actual developer, they're called Inner Void. If you want to check them out.
And I really like what they're doing for it. It just, I don't know, there's something about this game that doesn't quite click for me, and I don't know I can't put my finger on it. Like, I love the story. I love the like you said, the immersion aspect to it. I'm totally rocking on the art, but I don't know. There's something that just doesn't click for me, and I think it's the mechanics behind it that.
Well, what exactly about the mechanic? I mean, they're going for this style of, like you said, it's like an original Fallout style where it's more text than animation, and all about the story and stuff like that. So what can you mess up? You're just clicking on whatever your choice is.
I don't know. I think for me personally, I think I would want a little bit more engagement as the player. Does that make sense? Mechanically.
So you don't appreciate the clicking, you mean? Like you want to be more. You want to be more like. You want to be more involved instead of luck based.
Almost a little bit more, maybe.
More skill than needed to play.
Slightly, yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that is it such a? Because it seems to me like it's. As Josh said, it's like kind of a story game more than it's like anything else. Like you're.
And I think that expectation is where that's a good point.
I think this reminds me more of like a choose your own ending kind of thing, except much more interactive than a book. Also, some information. This was released just a few days ago on July 27th on Steam. It is currently available on Windows and Mac. No Linux. Sorry. And it is currently on sale, 25% off for $9.74, which is actually a really good price. But usually it is $12.99 when it is not on sale. Still a good price.
Go buy it at full price.
Yeah, go buy it at full price.
Just support them.
And they were actually, this is a Greenlight success story, so good job, Greenlight, for not being a whore. And actually, and you were talking about, because I mean, that you have a valid point. Because I mean, there's some of the negative comments on Steam were mentioning, some of the mechanics, and they didn't really think there was enough there for that. But overall, it is 70% of the reviews that people have given are positive. So,
okay,
I mean, that's a pretty good ratio.
It's I'm like I said, I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying everything else, and like Tim, I think you hit it on the head. My expectation was different, and I might need to set that aside and dive into this.
Yeah, it looks
different.
Yeah, it doesn't. It looks, and there's nothing wrong with it. It definitely looks like kind of a story. When I see a lot of those, and they're cool. There seems to be quite a few like story games coming out now. Maybe it's just the proliferation of those kind of engines that are available to people now. That you could put some nice art together and kind of have this fun story, and you're not really playing a game in the sense that you're not loading up your gun with ammunition and going out and shooting deer and skinning rabbits and things. Like you're just basically talking to people and clicking on A or B essentially all the way through. But you're getting a cool story while you're doing it, right? You pick some choice and they give you this great background to go with it.
We've talked about this before, and we talked about this, or we heard Matt Gilgenbach talked about this on IRX, and about what the difference between a game and what's basically an interactive novel. So it really is pretty gray area anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's all opinion based, it's all relative. I would consider this a game, and I would have tons of fun with this because this is my kind of thing. And we all have our genres that we are interested in and not interested in too.
I'm in general, I really think Tim hit it perfectly when he says it was my expectation. I went in expecting a more classic RPG than what I got, and I think I'm gonna go back and do some replaying of this and see if the change in perspective changes my opinion. I'm not knocking it. Like I said, it's a fantastic game, but I think that perspective change will do the difference.
You're just a curmudgeon old man.
Yeah. This game almost seems like, when I look at it, with what they're delivering versus, the look of the game, and I love the painted look, so I'm not saying change anything, but I almost, when it comes across as a story thing, I almost expect it to look more like a King's Quest or a pixel art type of game. I'm not saying that it should, but I kind of it has that vibe to me. Like, I imagine, like a talking head and boop, 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 just typing out like a little dialogue. Like right now, it looks like it's just paging through leaves of text. You're sort of like flip, 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 flip. I just imagine these talking heads popping up and it goes boop, 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 boop. a little carrot, more, and then boop, 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 some more stuff comes out. It just has that look, but it's cool. I mean, yeah, the game's obviously got good reviews on Steam. It's not a few. It's got negative, but it's definitely got positive. So
way more positive than negative.
No, way more positive. So go buy Icy. Good job, Inner Void, and tell us what you think of it. I mean, we're a little bit split here, but I think overall we're all in agreement that it is at least a good game, whether or not it's to your personal liking or what your expectations are. But tell us what you think of it. Go buy it right now. Less than $10. You know what is less than $10 usually, depending on if you go in the day or the nighttime?
A titty bar.
I was gonna say, I don't know what I was gonna say. Peep show.
Wow.
Please give all your attention to Early Access.
And this week on Peep Show, we have Cell Block Studios presenting a Kickstarter for SnarfQuest Tales. So this game, if you're familiar from it, it comes out of Larry Elmore's comic. And features the character of Snarf, and he just kind of is doing his thing. So in general, First and foremost, they have a demo. It's a point-and-click adventure game along the lines of the Pirates one. What was it?
Monkey.
Monkey Island. It's kind of along the line of that. Definitely got a really good update graphically for modern gaming. It kind of harkens back to almost the N64 Rare games in terms of the art choices.
I was thinking more like this is like the PS2 kind of like Bard's Tale kind of graphics.
It is, but I was going more for the stylistic choice.
Tobor in the chat said he's getting Jar Jar vibes. So maybe, I don't know, maybe SnarfQuest maybe they're just ripping off like tons of
Jar
pop
Jar's
culture.
Tales, kids.
No, that'll be the second.
Enough of them the first time. Let's bring them back.
Jar Jar's Tales will be the second time the video games industry crashes and burns. Right next to E.T.
So they have a playable demo for Linux, Mac, and Windows, they're not asking for a lot, which kind of leads me to believe that this is almost done already, and I don't know, because they're only asking like $30,000 for their funding, and they're at about $5,000 as of this recording, and they've got 37 days.
They've been working on this for
a while,
for about a year now, and I think personally, this is the right way, because I mean, we're talking about the Mega Man thing, about them like just being like, here's an idea, fund it. They have done what they could, and now they just need help getting it to the finish line.
Right.
I think that's the right way to do it.
Well, seeing their breakdown of their budget is what leads me to kind of question that a bit. 20% is going into graphics, storyboarding, and animation. 20%, give or take, into design and development. 10% for voices, music, and other effects. 10% for the Kickstarter fees. 10% for the rewards. I appreciate that they have a budget. This is one of those you have to have one or I won't back you type deals. But my biggest concern is, I think asking only $30,000 for this game in particular sets an unrealistic expectation as to how much game development costs. It adds into that, and if they can do the entire thing on that, fantastic. I'm really excited. They've got a small team in general, but they are trying to expand that. And
so there you go. Go get a job.
If they got $30,001, you're telling me they need another year. October 2016 is the delivery date. It's not in a month or two. It's over a year away. So, does anybody in this room raise your hands if you could live on one person for
This is what I'm saying. They've been working on this for a year already, which tells me that they have money already. That they just need.
I agree with you, but I'm saying, like, what is that?
That they can pay. What I'm saying is that they can pay more than what they're getting from Kickstarter. It's just that they need.
Gotcha.
That, you know what I mean? Kickstarter is just supplementing, is all it is.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out given even 3 or 4 guys on that project.
And the other thing too is that a lot of times when I see this stuff, I don't know how you do it with your team, but a lot of times when I talk to people, they're like, okay, well. Obviously, we don't have money right now, or at least not a whole lot. So you're not going to get a whole lot. But here's. I mean, I live off very little, not because I want to, but I do.
Right.
So I imagine, and I have a family of 4.
We all do.
I have a family of 4. I would imagine that someone out there can live off of, say, $15,000. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For a year, and then on top of that, they probably have some sort of clause. I'm sure they have some sort of clause, like here's a chunk of percentage to not only give you royalties, but maybe to bump up, to where maybe to like 30,000. Here's an additional $15,000 bonus. You know what I'm saying?
So
Yeah.
I'm doing a little bit more digging into this while we've been talking about this, and it looks like this isn't going to be paying the salaries of the team. This is going to be bringing in outside talent for things like
outsourcing.
Voice acting. Yeah.
Right.
For the things like for the voice acting and changing character animations and stuff like that. So it looks like they've already got a fairly solid core of the game set, and this is going to be supplementing to put the icing on the cake, as it were.
I also think it's interesting that Snarf constantly looks like he's just stoned.
Yeah, he does kind of have that bull.
But anyway,
So it looks beautiful. I'm really interested. I like the point and clicks. So
I like the style that they're going in with, like the 80s, or maybe it's older than that, but like I think it's like the 80s Dungeons and Dragons style too, that they're going with, like a lot of the promotions, and also even some of the artwork too. Like they have a little figurine down there of an artwork of like I don't know if she's a main character or what, but like a barbarian woman, which reminds me of the style of like that you would see in those Dungeons and Dragons monster guides or DM guides or whatever. I like that personally. I like the older art from those D&D books than I do the newer stuff.
Sure. Well, he is one of the old D&D artists,
right?
So.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like they're keeping in line with that. One of the rewards for backing at the $100 level or more is you get a SnarfQuest 30th anniversary. Wow, it's been around for 30 years.
How popular is this comic?
Apparently pretty damn popular.
I just remember it from Dragon Magazine in like the 80s, but but it was popular in that because that guy could draw like a mofo. Like he could the Jar Jar guy, Snarfy, he's drawn the most comical, but everybody else is drawn like in some badass D&D way. Like you look at him and it's like basically a D&D rule book come to life in a comic book, and that Snarf guy runs around in that. Like it looks amazing.
Well, that's why I was wondering. Like I could see that in the magazine, and obviously this has been around before the internet. But how popular is it? I mean, is it online now? Is it a webcomic now? Like,
I don't know. I just remember that Dragon Magazine, it had to have been one of the most popular strips next to maybe Phil and Dixie, which was another popular one that was... It was basically the one that you'd almost buy the magazine for just because it was so, like, well-drawn. And, like, well, at the time, I mean, obviously he's not as known as he is then, but at the time, Larry Elmore was, like, I mean, you just be like, holy shit, this is the guy who drew the cover, that painted all these amazing covers. I mean, if you could probably look up online, like, some of the scanned art, but it's incredible. Like,
and they're, like I was saying, they're one of the, at the $100 level, and there's limited 200 of them. You get a set of tabletop gaming figurines. Awesome. And it looks like they're made out...
you could use Snarf as your D&D character?
As a D&D character. So... I really, really, really like this.
Misa, fuck you up. That's awesome. Well, Cellblock Studios, they're looking for $30,000 with 38 days to go. Really not that much money, and especially with that amount of time, and they're already at a little over 4,100. So go back SnarfQuest if you feel that is your kind of game and you want to support a classic, obviously. And again, Point and Click Adventures, love this game.
It's going to be open. It's going to be available on a lot of platforms. So they're putting it out on the PS4, the Wii U, Xbox One, Android, Apple, as well as Windows, Mac, and Linux. So
well, speaking of something that's pretty accessible, you know what else is accessible?
It's free fun.
That is also accessible.
And our last segment of the night, free fun. We have a really interesting game. It's Chapter 1.
Thanks for Preposterone, by the way. He's the one that suggested this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Preposterone, who's currently doing some server work somewhere. Sorry you couldn't be here for the rest of this. But the Knobbly Crook, Chapter 1, The Horse You Sailed In On, is another point-and-click adventure, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I haven't had a time to really sink my teeth into this and really get too far into it, but and you missed it in between segments. Tim, you want to gush about the art for a second?
Oh my god, it looks like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a group that did in the 90s. Well, I mean, it's older, like Bitmap Brothers. They had this really like detailed art style that, you know, European. I think they were in England, but they did these fantastic. They did Speedball 1 and 2, and this has this really like kind of a European look to me, but it's very detailed and just it's really nice. Like, I like the art. You know what it looks like? Almost like when I was a kid, you get an art book or something to color in, or you get these incredible like drawings, and mom would buy you a coloring book or a marker book or something. You get some markers and you just doodle in like. But these drawings would be incredible. They'd be like robots or whatever, but they'd be tons of detail. And it just has like all this... I mean, I really do like the art style. What they're going for is incredible. It's free!
Yeah. Free.
That's why it's on Free Fun.
Yeah. I mean, you were mentioning, what was it, the art style, but one thing I'm kind of curious about, Rev, is how is it for your color blindness? Because like that first scene that we saw was like the same color on top of the same color, just very different, like very little difference in the shading. It
is difficult in terms of the environment, but the characters all stand out well enough in general.
Well, I feel like being a point and click though is just like, because you're gonna have to find things in the environment, so that's why I was like, oh man.
Well, it doesn't seem to be like the hidden, like what we're seeing on the screen right this instant is, you know, it's very clear that the interactable objects are separated from the environment, the background, and that's not causing me any problems. But there's a couple of things. There's some of the screenshots I end up with a bit of a confusion as to what's going on, but I'm not having a hard time with it thus far, and I say that, you know, knocking on wood and crossing fingers, because I've only put about 15 minutes into it while I was on my lunch break today, but no, it's a Gnarled Scar Manipulations is the developer and publisher.
I love that name too, actually.
Right?
Great name.
They've got subtitles, and that is absolutely a must for any game. But it like they said, it's Chapter 1, and they are going to be releasing each installment of it free with no ads, no DRM, you know.
I just want to.
It's available.
You think the art is weird? Like, if you haven't been paying attention to the text and all that stuff. Here's a little excerpt that I found in a review that I particularly like. I guess at one point he needs to borrow someone's saw. Can I borrow your saw? Do you have a permit? Yes. I'm impressed. You should be. I came in first in my class in saw. I'm impressed because you don't need a permit to use a saw. Oh. That's the kind of writing. That's the kind of writing that they have, and I don't know. I appreciate good humor in games. It's hard to find. It's hard to find these kinds of games that don't. At least it seems like now that don't take themselves all that seriously. Like, it's cool because it looks a little bit morose and dark, but it's kind of like a dark humor. And you can tell the guy who made this game, or the people that made this game, is a little bit eccentric, and it bleeds into this game.
Well, and one of the other things that I really enjoyed about this is it's a new take on the trifecta, the rock paper scissors aspect to it. It almost feels as though somebody was like, "Hey, can you make a rock paper scissors game?" But not be rock, paper, scissors? And he goes, yeah, sure, totally. So you have...
And he gives it to you, and you're like,
Wait, what? So it's like, because the Knobbly Crookians, which you're playing as one, are made of metal. They're the scissors aspect of it, and a lot of the enemies are stone, and they crush Knobbly Crookians, and the Knobbly Crookians herd and farm paper animals. So, and the giants are afraid of the paper animals, the stone enemies. So it's a really interesting take on that classic, rock, paper, scissors aspect. The humor behind it is also addictingly amazing. You're actually on trial. In this chapter, you're on trial for a crime that you've not yet committed, and you're telling how you haven't committed that crime basically in this chapter. So I'm going to be putting some time into this, not tonight because I've got work, but definitely tomorrow. I'm going to do it on Sunday while I'm stuck sitting in the lobby at church. That I'm going to play this game at church.
All hail the Knobbly Crook. The Knobbly Crook. The Church of the Knob... Never mind.
The Church of the Knob... Yeah. So Knobbly Crook. Check it out. Lots of fun.
Looks like a lot of fun.
I can't wait to really... I can't wait to play the
freaking free.
game.
You have nothing to lose.
Free.
On Steam.
That's incredible...
On
thing.
Steam. Go download it now. You know what else?
Values are high.
Yeah. You know what else we need to download?
You're gonna try and segue into the end of the show. That doesn't work.
We need to download the end of the show right now. Takes us to an end. Particularly bad segues this week. You're welcome. Let me actually switch away from this gameplay. There we go. End of the show. Now you can see our faces. First of all, for those of you who do not know, we have a Patreon. If you like what we do, you want to help us grow, you want to help us reach a lot of the goals that we have set for Indie Game Riot, and the goals that we have for helping the indie game community and all that sort of stuff, go to patreon.com/indiegameriot. $1 or more, anything like that, please help. You also have like tiers and stuff like that. If you want to get something in return, that's definitely cool. A lot of really cool stuff to get. So thank you so much for considering helping out Indie Game Riot on patreon.com/IndieGameRiot. Secondly, if you are watching a recorded version, please join us every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on hitbox.tv/JoshandYa, which now we are now partnered. So just viewing the stream helps us out, as does subscribing. If you want to help us out even more, you can subscribe and you'll get, I think, a free gift card. And once we get it made from Prep, our new team member here, he will be making an exclusive emoji and badge for those of you who feel like subscribing on Hitbox.
I want the badge.
There you go. The second thing is, you can always view our recorded versions for those who are listening live on IndieGameRiot.com. If you know someone who makes games, or if you make games yourself, please contact us. That's how Icy got on here. So a lot of times we go out and look for games, but Icy was one of the ones that actually contacted us. I enjoyed it, looked it up, looked a lot of good positive reviews. We got the codes, enjoyed playing it. Really cool game, and that could be you. So contact us. There's lots of ways to contact us. Twitter.com, or you can go on Twitter at IGR Podcast, Facebook.com/IGR Podcast. Go ahead. You were going to say something? Oh, I heard you breathe in like you were ready to say something. And of course, email us the old-fashioned way, because email is old-fashioned. You can do contact at indiegameriot.com.
Should change it to old-fashioned way at indiegameriot.com.
Yeah. Old-fashioned.
Cup and string at indiegameriot.com.
Yay, old-fashioned pigeon. Carry a pigeon. Yeah. And of course, our website is indiegameriot.com.
Did you mention the Reddit?
Did I mention
No,
your face?
In seriousness, Tim, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys. I love it.
Boss101.com to go check it out. It's soon to come out. Soon.
Come out soon.
Like now.
Plowing through it. I'm working on it after this. As soon as we get off here, I'm going right back to dialogue writing. So.
Oh,
there you go. Hard at work.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us on such short notice. Tech had some Comcast ISP issues.
Talk about fuck Comcast. Holy, I remember seeing there was an article about like people would vote like who the most evil corporation is, and and
Comcast won for like 5 years running.
No, it was actually EA.
Yeah, EA is.
EA won like consecutively, and then they celebrated because they came in second to Comcast just recently. So good job, Comcast, for being dicks. Any last words, gentlemen?
Game hard.
Game hard. Thank you for coming by. We'll come back next week, please.
Woo.
Show's so good.
Knobbly Crook.
Knobbly Crook.
Yeah.
Knobbly Crook will be playing at Coachella in California. 2016. It's a good band. You should go check them out.
And then Prep comes into the chat right as we're about to close. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Bye.
Have a good one, folks.
Toodles.